Good morning, everyone. Boker Tov. This week's Torah portion is Vayakel. Vayakel means, and he gathered. Moses gathered the Jewish people to address them together. But until this very day, we use the word Vayakel. You see, in English, the word for a community is a congregation. But in Hebrew, it's a kihilah. Many synagogues are called kihilat, the congregation of such and such. And indeed, in this week's Torah portion, we learned the two things that build community. The main subject of this week's Torah portion is the building of the Mishkan, the house of worship, the first synagogue, tabernacle for God. And of course, a synagogue is a place where people come together and congregate and build community and roots. But furthermore, before Moses talks about the synagogue, he talks about Shabbat. And Shabbat is the day that we come together and spend 25 hours with our family, with our friends, with our community. And that's when we build our Jewish community. Today we live in modern times. We have Facebook. And you ask someone, how many friends do you have on Facebook? And he says, I have hundreds, sometimes thousands of friends on Facebook. But then you ask them, if you were going through a hardship in your life, how many of them would come to your side to help you? Well, that's a whole different question. Friends aren't people that view your posts and give you a thumbs up. Friends are people who are part of your community, who know your story, who really care about you, who are there for you both in your happy times to celebrate life with you, and unfortunately in the difficult times. And this is what King David says in the very first psalm of the book of Tehillim. He says, the righteous person is like a tree planted by streams of water that yields fruit. You see, a righteous person is part of a community. He has roots. As opposed to the wicked person, he says, are like the chaff that the wind blows away. They blow in the wind, but they have no connection, no roots to a sense of community. But there's something unique about the Jewish people, and that is our community is not just local. You could belong to a local Jewish community, but when you're a Jew, you're part of an international community. And that's why when you hear good news from any Jewish community around the world, you rejoice because you're part of that community. And unfortunately, when you hear sad news, you cry because you are part of the international Jewish community. When you travel, if you go to the local synagogue on Shabbat, like this week's Torah portion says, you have kihilah, you have community, you have an instant community waiting for you in any part of the world. They welcome you in. They say Shabbat Shalom. They invite you to their homes. That's what it means to be a part of kihilah, community. When we went to Israel 2 weeks ago, we went to help our fellow Jews, and especially the hostages who returned. And on the day of Erev Purim, I received a beautiful letter from the President of Israel, Isaac Herzog. And he sent this beautiful letter that he heard about our trip and he wanted to thank our community. And he actually, in the letter, makes these 2 points about Jewish community and the international Jewish community. And he starts by saying, Dear Rabbi Scheiner, for years now, the Palm Beach Synagogue has exemplified Ahavat Yisrael, which means love for a fellow Jew, and emboldened Klal Yisrael, the Jewish nation. This is even more pronounced since the Simchat Torah that changed all of our lives. And I write to express my deep gratitude and for that of the Israeli people. And then he says, time and again, we have seen your Kihilat Kodesh, your holy congregation, using the word Kilah and adding the word a holy congregation. We become a holy congregation when we engage in good deeds. We've seen your Kihilat Kodesh collectively roll up their sleeves and employ all spiritual and material resources at their disposal in order to support and strengthen the Jewish homeland and our people. And then in the conclusion of the letter, he says the following. He says, as we approach the holiday of Purim, we are reminded of the importance of community. Purim is a holiday of coming together and caring for each other, of sharing laughs and sharing meals, and in the gracious spirit of the PBS community that continues to dedicate itself to the heart and the soul of the global Jewish community. His entire letter is about the sense of community that we have, and then he signs, yours in friendship, Isaac Herzog, President of the State of Israel. That's the blessing of community, not just your local community, but the international Jewish community. When we were in Israel, the news stations heard about what we were doing, dedicating Torahs and bringing gifts and presents to the hostages, and they came and joined us in some of our visits, and they aired some of the clips of the conversations with the hostages. And one day we were walking through the streets of Petach Tikva. We were going to the house of a hostage, and the four of us, together with Shai Graucha, who was escorting us, accompanying us, see a bunch of high school kids coming home from school, teenagers with their backpacks, and they see us and they say, "Oh, we saw you on television, we heard what you're doing," and they start telling us, "Kol hakavod, more power to you, all the honor to you, thank you." And we stopped to talk to them, and we asked them, when you see it in the news that we came from America, from Florida, to help Israelis, and especially those who were freed, the hostages, how does that make you feel? And one of the teenagers said, "It makes me feel proud to be a Jew." And then the other teenager, one of the group of kids, said, "It makes me want to be kinder as well." And I said to myself, this is what it means to be a part of a community, a global community. We all inspire each other, we all elevate one another. And that's the blessing of being a Jew. Today at 5 o'clock, we will merit to celebrate the Brit, the circumcision of our grandson born to our daughter Hindi and son-in-law Tani. And when the baby arrives and enters the room, the whole congregation, the whole community is waiting for the baby. And we all cry out, "Baruch haba," welcome the child who has come. And this is what Jewish community is. A baby's only 8 days old, and the whole community gathers to say welcome. We welcome you into the covenant that goes back to Abraham, our covenant with God, our covenant with one another. The Brit is the covenant. And welcome to the Jewish community. And even though you're only 8 days old, you're already a member of the community. This is the blessing of Vayakel of this week's Torah portion. Have a wonderful day.